Welcome back on this wintry evening. You can get away wintry, snowy evening, yeah, but it's nothing more than that, is it? The world's gone soft. I'm going to have a rant in this half of the show. I'm not sure if Paul Warne is. I'm sure he's more than capable of having a rant if he needs to. The Rotherham United manager over here, who's battled through heroically. I was going to give you something actually in the first half. I forgot what I was going to give you. I was going to present you with the Nick Matthew Danny Hall medal for heroics in the face of adverse weather conditions.
Do I need to give a speech?
Yes.
I'd say on behalf of my family, everyone who knows me back in Norfolk, this means the world. Thank you.
Yeah. well, Nick Matthew and Danny Hall of Sheffield Star made it in far worse weather conditions than this about 2.5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I had to get the train in. I couldn't drive.
Nick got the train.
But nevertheless, we don't want to diminish so he gets the
well done,
there.
Thank you. I'm pretty proud.
Yeah, I can tell.
Oh, yeah, I am.
Notice the colours.
Very impressive.
It's actually one of my running medals. I found one with a red ribbon.
1962. I like that.
Anyway, James, you and I are both disappointed for different reasons. That I can't believe it's Thursday. Okay.
Yeah.
That Sheffield United against Burton Albion is off this weekend.
Called off. I think most of the matches that I'm going to preview here, I think possibly all could be off. So Sheffield Wednesday against Bristol's still on at the moment.
Yeah.
But look at Paul here. He's shaking his head. There's no way that's going to be on either, is it?
No way at all. But we're a little bit surprised. Well, you would have gone to Bramall Lane as a supporter if you weren't working somewhere.
Yes.
James,
Yeah.
I would have gone to Bramall Lane working, and I was really looking forward to it. And when the snow stopped at lunchtime today, and I saw and heard that the traffic was flowing freely around, all the roads have been cleared, emergency services brilliant, have cleared the roads, and the pitch has had undersoil heating on for a week, and clearly was going to be fit to play. And they're playing Burton Albion, who are a team 50 miles down the road.
Yeah, local, isn't it?
It's a local match, really. To call it off on Thursday?
It's a bizarre one, isn't
we can't understand it.
I can't think for 1 minute that Chris Wilder or the management staff or the players or many of the fans will have wanted, particularly after the good win the other night against Reading.
So I'm convinced that Chris Wilder wanted this game on. Somebody would have to. People are saying, it's an inspired thing because one or two players are just getting back from injury. No, the team was on heat.
Yeah.
After the win.
You want to sort of carry on that momentum a bit.
This is a general point, not criticising Sheffield United, Paul, but do you think, you come from a different era and I come from a generation before you, to be fair. Have we gone soft or what across the board about things like this?
Yes, definitely. I just think it's health and safety gone crazy. I don't for a second believe it's the footballing side that have made the decision with Sheffield. I know our game was called off at Gills. But they haven't got such, they haven't got the undersoil heating and the ground staff of Sheffield United. I think, the footballing side of it want the game on. They want to play on a Saturday. They get more people through the door on a Saturday. But they've made the decision early. I presume the police or health and safety, whatever the case may be, would have been involved in that decision. If someone slips on a path.
Whose responsibility is that, though?
The person walking, I would presume.
Were you going to sue me if you slipped outside the studio tonight?
I did slip, and I haven't actually written it down yet, but you'll get my solicitor's letter. But that's the world we live in, isn't it? I think the pitch would probably be playable. It's all the surrounding areas and all that, which is disappointing. But I don't know what they do in other European countries when there's a bit of snow, but
they carry on.
I mean, you kindly regarded earlier about, remarked earlier about me driving in, but it's the nicest drive I ever had into Sheffield. It was like Armageddon. It's like everyone had,
there's nobody on the roads.
There's no one on the roads. It was ace.
Yeah.
I give myself an hour and a half to get here. It took me like 15 minutes. So
it's absolute overhype. Every news bulletin, you've got some reporter who's scaled some height, telling you to stay at home, and yet he's got in position with no difficulty with his camera crew.
In a T-shirt.
It's ridiculous. Yeah, absolutely ridiculous. And for a game to be off like 48 hours, but it's not the only one, but several others. Why is this change? Because I don't understand this. In a statement on one of the postponements today, it said, we cannot guarantee the safety of spectators. When can you guarantee the safety of a spectator? At any time in any game?
I don't know. I mean, you can't guarantee any weather, extreme weather conditions. You saw the Peterborough-Walsall game the other night.
Yeah.
The players were helping get the snow off the pitch.
Just to get it finished,
To get the game finished. Now, all them supporters who are leaving the ground then, I don't know if loads of them have sued or anything crazy like that. I think we are getting a little bit soft, to say the least.
And where the police are concerned, it's their job and they're paid, and full admiration for the police, they're paid to police an event. They're not there to decide whether an event can go ahead or whether it's or when it takes place.
I mean, the only thing I could say in fairness is that, you know, the NHS is drained to the absolute capacity in it. So if you've got a load of people who are slipping and falling and injuries and ambulances can't get to them to pick them up, that's the only foreseeable, you know, reason I can think of. But, you know, like the roads around Sheffield tonight are absolutely fine. I mean, you know, tomorrow we could wake up under a foot. Or it could all be gone.
Well, the weather forecast says not. You know, it says it's. But
that's
anyway,
never wrong. That is never wrong.
Never wrong. A turnover of managers is one of the points that I've got down to raise with you. We got off that subject. But rant over.
It was a good rant, though. I liked it.
You liked it?
It was a good rant.
Okay, not one of my best, really. How many of you Rotherham had in a short space of time? There was Steve Evans. There was obviously you had Neil Warnock and Neil Redfern, Kenny Jackett, who mysteriously,
Alan Stubbs.
And Alan Stubbs. That's a lot of managers. So you're coming in on the back of that to try and create some continuity. How difficult is that?
No, I don't think it makes the job any more difficult. I think, you know, since Steve left, you know, Neil Warnock's probably been our most successful. I think every manager what's been brought in by the club have been brought in for the right reasons. You know, I think Neil Redfern was a really good coach. You know, Alan Stubbs had a good career in Scotland. Kenny Jackett seemed the perfect fit, so I can understand why the board and that brought all their managers in. But for whatever reason, it doesn't work. You know, I mean, I'm blessed in the fact that because of my relationship with the chairman and with the club, possibly, you know, if my name wasn't Paul Warne and I took over in January, I wouldn't be sitting here now, because that's how football is. You know, fans wouldn't allow the failures of last season, although predominantly they weren't my fault. Fans just see the team out there, and if the team aren't working, you know, they normally attack the manager before the players. So it'd be nice if we had some continuity at the club. I think we're trying to do everything right behind the scenes. We're trying to run the club in an efficient way. We're trying to give the fans, in my opinion, the DNA back of the club, how I think football should be played at Rotherham. I think it should be, you know, dynamic, athletic, ideally 4-4-2, and hopefully long may that continue. But I'm well aware, as we've alluded to earlier, that, you know, in football you're judged by your results, and more often than not it's easier to change the manager than it is to change 11 players, and that's sort of the environment we're in.
You have to accept that when you go into it, I suppose.
Yeah, you do.
You know,
I mean, I always joke with my wife saying that we used to have 2 dogs, and I loved having dogs, but now I've not had a dog for a couple of years. It's sort of quite nice, as in free. I don't dog owners, but so I keep saying to her, look, as soon as I lose my job or change job, I'm going to get a dog, because I can't handle any time on my own. If I lost my job now and I was at home all day on my own, I'd be in all sorts of bother. So I'd have to get a puppy or something like that.
And how difficult it is for managers to get back, because you get reminded when a job comes up and you look at the betting and you think, oh, I forgot about him. Oh, I didn't realise he was still out of work.
Well, I think I think if you looked at the managers who were in League One and the Championship 10 years ago, it'd be interesting to see how many of them are still in work.
Not many, I don't think.
No, not many. So, and that's why I respect the Neil Warnocks of this world, who keep, you know, reinventing themselves. Not reinventing themselves, but you know, keep coming in, year out. The Mick McCarthys and people like that. You know, I don't know if in 20, 30 years' time there will be managers who have lasted.
There's not that managerial merry-go-round, certainly in League One and League Two, as there is in the Premiership. Is there? You know, when you've got the same faces popping up who've had. You know, they've all managed 4 or 5 of the same clubs as each other and stuff like that.
It's like the Premier League managers are like literally their own club now, their own elite club. And it's like if someone fails in the Premier League, they won't look at an up-and-coming manager in the Championship. They'll just look for another failed manager in the Premier League. It's like they're doing a different sport. But, you know, the pressures on the Premier League is ridiculous, so I understand that. But I think, you know, lower league especially, that there's a lot of lower league managers who... end up playing at a club, retire at 36, and they let that player take over. I think that happens quite a lot because, in fairness, it's a feasible one. They know the club. Financially, it's not too much of a risk. So, you know, like Flitty's now gone to Mansfield.
From Swindon, and positive move, that. For any people, strange one. But
well, he's a northern lad, though, and he's a Manchester lad, so I think, you know, he's a real family man as well, so I think that might have played a massive part. Yeah. But I've seen the caretaker who's now taken over is the ex-Bolton player, left-footer. I'm so bad with names. A joke. Yeah. What's his name? Yeah, you don't know either, do you?
No, I don't know. I'm trying to remember. I've read it today.
I need Hammy here. Hammy's the man I take everywhere with me. Honestly, at football dues and that, I'm so bad at people's names. I don't let Hammy leave my side. I'm going, who's that over there? And I'll go over and say hello.
James is talking. I'll find out.
Because
I've got my phone here somewhere. Yeah. Why don't you take it away for
I will do.
A couple of minutes.
I mean, this is all subject to the weather, not disrupting things. Snowflake Britain, and I'm not talking about the weather either, is upon us.
Exactly right.
Yeah.
So, and there's no snowflake in the studio tonight, that's a guarantee.
No, none
of us are snowflakes.
So Warnie's Millers at Gillingham, they're off. The Blades are off. I think Wednesday probably will be off. They're meant to be playing away at Bristol City. They could have done the Blades a bit of a favour as well if they'd have gone down there and beaten them on Saturday, but it's all subject to the weather as well. In non-league as well, all subject to the snow and all that kind of stuff. Having driven past Sandygate on the way down here, I don't think Helm FC against Winston Rangers will be on, judging by...
forgive them.
Exactly. You know, sloping pitch with sort of 3 foot of snow on it. So I think that one might be off as well. Sheffield FC meant to be at home as well, the coaching horses against Spalding United. Good results for both as well last weekend in that one. And again, Sheffield FC ladies, they're meant to be down at Watford on Sunday. That's still on at the moment. Likewise with what's going on? Have you found out who it is?
Yeah, Matt Taylor.
Of course it is. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Interim manager at Swindon. Sorry.
Yeah, it's all right. It's quite all right. Sheffield ladies, they're meant to be off as well because they're meant to be travelling to North Wales to play against New Saints as well in the Women's Premier League. Ice hockey, that's a sport that won't be called off due to the inclement weather conditions.
You hope not.
The Steelers are meant to be away at Braehead in Edinburgh though, so that might change things in the league. They're 5th in the league. The Sharks, they take on Worcester in the BBL Trophy final, where the captain Mike took in, didn't we, a few weeks ago?
We did, yeah.
And he was talking about hoping to reach that final. Well, they did reach it. They've got Worcester in the final in Glasgow on Sunday at the Glasgow Arena. If you do fancy just sitting in the comfort of your own home and watching that, that's on Free Sports TV, which you can get on Sky and all that kind of stuff. And it's going to be on the BBC Sport website as well. Rugby Union, Tigers, again, I think they'll probably be off. I think it has actually been called off, that one they were meant to be playing this weekend. Sheffield, Abbeydale, they're meant to be at home. That one's still on at the moment against Tynedale. All subject, though, of course, to the snow. In Rugby League, the Eagles, they're looking for their first points of the season. They've actually lost all 4 of their opening matches all the way from home as well, of course. But they're meant to be playing the London Broncos at the Olympic Legacy Park here in Sheffield. And in golf, Matt Fitzpatrick, he'll be playing because he is playing as well at the moment already. He's even par through 8 holes last time I checked in Mexico in the World Golf Championship.
That's nice and warm.
Yeah, that's nice.
Yeah,
I'd rather be
that's
where
not
he
off
is.
the snow, is it?
No, definitely not. If you do fancy letting us know, by the way, for next week's programme, if you want your club mentioned on here, just let me or Alan know on Twitter.
That's right. I tell you, somebody was in touch with me, Charlie George from Stocksbridge Park Steels. Yeah. Wayne Biggins, he said, what about having a father and son team on the show? Because Wayne Biggins, the ex-Barnsley and others player, his son plays for Fleetwood. Harrison, is it Harrison Biggins? Plays for Fleetwood.
Right, okay.
Charlie, if you're watching, that's a great idea. Can you be the intermediary on 5% and set it up for me?
5% is nothing,
Yeah, 5% nothing.
It's nothing.
5% of a pint even. Neil Warnock, who's another friend of the show, has been in here, and during his wonderful salvation job at Rotherham, was saying, I don't know if I'll have another job in football. He's been saying that for 15 years. Well, my next job is my final one. What's his secret? Coming up 70, chasing an 8th promotion. You know him, work with him. What about Neil?
Well, I mean, I was hugely impressed when he came in. Like on day one, he came in and he was really funny with the lads and really made them relax. He doesn't do like the coaching side of it really. That's not really his bag.
That's Blackie, isn't it?
That's Blackie. Although he does like to tell Blackie off in front of the lads, which always goes down a storm. Blackie's like the iron fist. But Neil's more like a psychiatrist. Not psychiatrist, but he really gets into the lads' psyche. So he builds people up and speaks to them, and they obviously have massive respect for him for what he's achieved in the game. So he just gets the best out of the players he has. In them. We had 10 games or whatever where we didn't lose in the champ. Like we didn't have the ball a lot in them 10 games, but We defended resolutely, nicked a goal on the, on the break and all that, and we were excellent. But he just has that, I don't know, that little bit of dust, which is pretty unique, I think. So wherever he goes, you can imagine him being a success.
Yeah, he just sparks individuals off with saying the right thing. And it can be treating individuals differently as well.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, the Greg Halford one was the one for me. He treated him. He got the best out of Greg massively, but he used to, in five-a-sides, if Greg got tackled or whatever, he'd blow up and say it's a free kick, that weren't Greg's fault and all that. And the lads used to be irate with it, thinking, what's he doing? But Greg used to just love it. It makes Greg feel even taller than his 7-foot frame, whatever it was.
Because he was persona non grata at one time, wasn't he? Near enough. He was so far out of the picture.
When Gaffer came back, when Neil Warnock came, he was training with the youth. Yeah, I call all my managers Gaffer. It's really awkward. If there's two in the room at the same time, I'm in all sorts of trouble. I have to whisper hello Gaffer to one.
What if your wife's there as well?
She's fine being called wife. But what he's really good at, Neil was excellent at, was he used to make the defenders go out really hungry. So he'd say to them, no nonsense, don't concede. He was brilliant at that, and they would go out like angry that like the Gaffer had to go at him a little bit, like saying, look, you lot. But then the strikers, he would make them feel $1 million that they were literally like playing for Brazil. Yeah. So you had the good balance. The attacking ones felt good about themselves and they wanted the ball, and the defenders were like, right, I'm going to show him we're not going to concede, and it just worked, and it was just. I mean, it was an amazing time for me. I learned quite a bit off him, to be honest.
That's the first time I've heard that insight into Neil.
Yeah. I mean, that was just at our club. It might not be like that at every club, but at our club it worked a treat.
I know Richard Wood, when he came in here, Richard Wood was saying that when Neil sort of got the job, and Richard was sort of in and out of the team a little bit, and apparently sort of first day in, he's sort of gone, we're playing Saturday, and then just didn't speak to him all week. So it sort of, he was mulling it over in his head, but he said he felt great that week because he'd been told and he knew that he had sort of 5 days of prep building up to playing on the Saturday.
But you can't beat experience, can you really? No, I mean, he's been a manager for I don't know how many years now, but he must have seen different personalities, different people, different situations when they're going for promotions, when they're fighting relegations and all that. So his whole experience, he can just pick and choose his information, whereas obviously my experience is a little bit less.
Well, I don't know whether you've had time to think about the two Sheffield clubs and any thoughts at any time in your life whatsoever, but just before we move on to that, Leon Wobschall of the Yorkshire Post, who was supposed to be here tonight, we've rescheduled him for a couple of weeks, he couldn't get out. He couldn't get it.
But
seriously,
Snowflake Britain.
No, but seriously, Leon lives at the bottom of a hill in Halifax. He's genuinely holed up in Halifax. So I said to him, just stay there, mate. Thanks for trying. However, he is contributing to the programme because he tells me that his most memorable quote, or certainly the most unusual quote he's ever fielded in football, came from you when I think there was something proposed that you might move to Leighton Orient. Anyway, let's have a look at this. Let's have a look at this quote. Leon emailed me today. Paul Warne says, I would rather eat my own child than move to Leighton Orient. Now, I'm sure that there are one or two snowflakes out there who are going to get irate or offended on behalf of somebody for that clearly... That's a joke, folks, by the way, a jokey comment. He's not literally going to do it. And where did that one come from? Where did that one come from?
I don't know. You say loads of things in the heat of the moment. I mean, my kid... I mean, the kids were obviously a lot younger then. They must have been covered in chocolate a lot of the time. But no, I had no intention of moving to the capital, that was for sure.
Or eating your child.
Or eating the child. No, I don't know if my wife would have been too pleased about that.
I don't know where these quotes come from, but it's always nice. We were talking off air about Carlos Carvalho and what a great guy he is, and an entertaining, charismatic character. Football needs him, really.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, he's done brilliant at Swansea, and we speak to each other via text and that, and I wish him all the best. But them sort of characters, I think they are fundamental to the game, and they are crucial. And I thought he'd done really well at Sheffield Wednesday. Got him in the playoffs a couple of times and all that. And he's gone to Swansea and done really well there. So I think sometimes managers get stick, and I will sit here and bang the drum for managers. But fundamentally, they're only as good as the players they can put out. Yeah. So at the moment, Wednesday have got loads of injuries, haven't they? So it's difficult for them to put out
transition phase. But what it's done is they've had to look to some youngsters, and one or two of them have really shaped up. So
Claire's doing really well, isn't he?
What do you think of him?
Him. Well, we were considering trying to get him before, but then he played when he came back off loan. So he's done really well. But
So
the players we recruit, we try and recruit ideally between 20 and 24. So I just think sometimes there's a bit of ignorance of youth. They don't have the pressures of the older players and that, and they just think they just want to play, and that's a good thing. And especially if you play with a lot of energy, you need the youth.
Just going back to Sean Clare, he had an outstanding loan spell at Gillingham. So you were trying to return.
So we knew that he had an outstanding. So his name came up in our meetings, and we were interested in bringing him to the club. But then he went back to Wednesday. But then they played him. So as soon as they played him, he can only play 2 clubs in a season. That was that opportunity passed, really. But he's doing really well, and by all accounts, obviously I live local. I know what other teams are doing. He's playing really well. So good luck to him.
His strengths, he's very quick and confident. It looks confident. Attacks players.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it? Happy days for a minute. I mean, gutted for me, but happy pleased for him.
He would
find another one.
He would certainly have added to you, and he could see exactly where he fit into the way that you play as well.
Yeah, exactly. We like athletes. We like forward-thinking players who just want to, play forward, run forward. That's sort of our motto, really. So he'd have suited us no end. So, but he's doing well at Wednesday, so good luck to him.
Yeah. And Sheffield United, 6th in the Championship. It's got to be overachievement, hasn't it?
I think they've done amazing. I mean, obviously their start, the start they had was brilliant, and then all the fans are saying, I presume, are sort of saying, it won't last. But then after a while, they're thinking, well, it might last. And then they had not a wobble as such, but got a few different results, and then they've come back again. But I think Sheffield United are probably the best team to watch in the Champ. All the games I watch, every time we're away at the weekend, we always watch a Friday night game. And if Sheffield are in it, they're amazing. I mean, we played them pre-season, and the way they play is really, really refreshing. I don't think teams have played that way in years. So I think they're amazing to watch. I'm really, I think a lot of Chris, and I know Nilly really well. I used to play with him, and every time I go to a concert in Sheffield, he's always there. And because he's so tall, I can see him from a mile away. But he's done really well. And the way they play, and we've got Lavs on loan from Sheffield, and they kindly let us bring him over. And I knew that any player I got out of Sheffield would suit me, because the way Chris and Nilly play, it is high energy. They are fit lads, and they can all handle the ball. So it was a good fit for me to get Lavs, and he's fitted in a treat in my group. Yeah,
it's a good point actually about the entertainment in their games, because the way they play dictates the sort of game it is. And 2 teams have a go at each other.
Yeah, it's brilliant, isn't it? And that's what you want to see, isn't it? Like when you came to our Oxford game, I thought Oxford played really well, but it was 2 teams having a right go. And I think, fans want to. We're in the entertainment business at the end of the day. We want to win football matches, but you want to come and watch a game that you've gone away from and thought, wow, that. If we lose, but at least you can say, look, the lads had a right go. And I think people in Yorkshire appreciate that.
They do. There were 1 or 2 characters near the press box whose remarks would have slightly annoyed you had you heard them, had your muffled
the
coat round your ears.
I don't know what I'm going to do in this summer, because I'm going to be sweating up, aren't I? If I have that big coat on, and a pair of shorts and flip-flops, it's not going to be a good look.
Yeah, good luck with that.
Yeah,
I think you need the cold weather to stay, really, don't you? Arctic. Shocking conditions.
Oh, terrible. Everything's snowed off and snowflake Britain and wow, we can't clear the pitch. What if someone slips and hurts themselves? Oh, dear me.
You're having a rant now as well,
Yeah,
aren't
no. It's just annoying me, yeah.
It's spreading, isn't it?
It's infectious.
Would you believe that's our hour, or nearly an hour, 45 minutes in 2 halves, gone, Paul Warne. And if it's gone quickly for you, I hope that you've enjoyed it.
Yeah, I've had a great time. Thanks.
As we've thoroughly enjoyed it.
I appreciate the medal. That's obviously the icing on the cake.
Yeah, of course it is. Yeah. Red ribbons. And I don't know if you keep hearing that. That's Paul's phone going off in the corner. So lots of agents,
Match
and players
back on.
and whatever. Take care. YouTube later if you missed. See you next week. Bye.
Cheers.